Hello and welcome to CRT Sound System. We've got episode. Let me check the actual episode numbers because we're getting pretty high now. We're getting close to 50 now, guys.
Oh
Episode
shit.
48.
Jesus.
And we're going to talk about Mega Man 1 through 3. So I'm here with
What?
Reese. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. We're doing the Mega Man episode. It's here.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This is a milestone. I'm surprised this isn't the 50th because this is such a huge cultural just video game sound. So it's crazy. But yeah, I'm so excited. I'm
Yeah.
shitting myself.
Yeah, but
Um
been listening to these soundtracks for most of my life, so
mhm, yeah.
it's good to talk about it. So we've got a guest with us, my good friend Mike. Mike, how are you?
Hi, I am also here. I'm all right. How are you?
And yeah, oh, very good. Yeah, I specifically picked Mike to do a Mega Man episode because he's probably one of the biggest Mega Man nerds that I know. Like in terms of just like knowing all the fucking lore and knowing everything about these fucking games. So I was like, when I asked you to come on, I was like, you got to just do at least one Mega Man episode with me, and then we can do whatever you want. But like, I got to do at least one Mega Man episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm definitely the biggest Mega Man fan I know in this country, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I suppose I usually get our guests to do a quick intro to the games. So I suppose if you want to, for the few people who are going to be listening to this who somehow don't know what Mega Man is, maybe just do a little quick
Wow.
rundown on the series.
Right. Well, let's see. Um, Mega Man is a character that was created by a Capcom artist named Akira Kitamura uh, back in 1988, 89, I think. And
Hmm.
um, often mistakenly attributed to Keiji Inafune, who was the series producer, and he did a
Yeah.
lot of the like the art and character designs for it because when he was handed the thing after Kitamura left Capcom. But and he's not and like there's a I believe if I'm not mistaken, that whole thing came about after Capcom were going to make a game, a licensed game based on Astro Boy or the Mighty Atom from
Okay.
Osamu Tezuka, and that fell through one way or another. And
Okay.
in the end, they ended up adapting the concept into an original character, and the result there is Mega Man, or rather
Interesting. Okay.
Rockman.
I was
Um,
not aware of that. Okay, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, like they are very often compared to one another because
Hmm.
there's a great deal of inspiration from one in the other.
Clearly,
Uh,
yeah.
so it's always very fun. I think recently in my timeline, I was seeing there's this promotional artwork of it was like a like a sort of like a concept of Capcom versus Tezuka Productions, and it was all of
Okay.
the it was a huge host of like the Capcom characters, all the way up from from the beginning up to 2024, like Street Fighter 6 characters,
Oh wow.
uh, drawn in the Tezuka style, in a sort of Marvel versus Capcom 2 kind of array facing the Tezuka characters, and you always get Mega Man and Astro Boy
Right next to each
right
other.
next to each other, and it's always fun. It's always fun to see.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the game, like the first game, did sort of. I don't think it didn't really make a splash, but the team that worked on it really wanted to make another one. They wanted to,
Mm.
and but they weren't allowed to. They weren't they weren't given the time away from from the other actually greenlit projects. So what happened then is like it said okay, so the execs basically said okay, like if you can put together something in off of company time and we like it, we'll give
Yeah.
we'll through it. And they did. They put together Mega Man 2 in I think less than a year anyway for sure. Could be less. Could be like 8 or 9 months. Um, in their spare time, and well, that's the one that absolutely took off and made him an icon. And that game was the best-selling game in the entire franchise up until just last year when Mega Man 11 finally overtook it.
Did
Wow.
11 sell that many? Wow. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, no, it really has. It's been
Wow.
interesting to watch.
Because I don't know anybody who likes that game.
I mean, it's I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like I actually haven't finished it myself. Just
Mm,
the backlog is real, but
yeah.
it's but it was very well received and in general, and
Okay.
it's a solid game. It's just everyone knows what Mega Man is or is about, sort of. They have a passing understanding of who or what he is. Like it's only like it's much in the same way as like I mean I am a huge fan of say the 2014 reboot of Strider. I absolutely love that game. I genuinely think it's hard to pin down another game like it. Um but like at the end of the day it's a legacy Capcom IP. It didn't really make a splash despite being as solid as it was.
Yeah.
So, it's not exactly in the public consciousness, but the fact that it's there and that it's available, like like I'm pretty you can get most of the Mega Man library on PC at this point.
Yeah, I think with the collections that they've released, I think pretty much all of them are there, except for maybe like the Game Boy games.
Fun fact, all five of the Mega Man Game Boy games got
Just came out on Switch.
they came out on Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, just before the Summer Games Fest, and on top of a lot of very publicized like all over social media, every Mega Man product and collection that's currently available is on sale, and the poor Mega Man fan base, starved as they are for content, took this as a sign that there was an announcement coming.
Oh no.
but, but the miracle never happened.
No.
Oh.
So
Yeah. Oh well. That's it.
yeah, it's a rough life being a fan of a dead franchise.
I mean, it's to be fair, it's not that dead.
It
But
could be
like
deader.
it could be deader. Like
It's
you could
not
be a
Power
Breath of
Stone.
Fire fan or a
No,
Power Stone fan.
God.
You know. Could be a lot worse
Oh,
for you. Or a
We
Darkstalkers fan for that matter.
guy,
Oh,
you mentioned Power Stone. I just got sad.
I am also a Darkstalkers fan, so don't worry. They'll all eventually get absorbed into Street Fighter eventually,
More than likely, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it happens with everything. So everything will become either Street Fighter or Monster Hunter for Capcom, I think.
Well, yeah, they're gonna put Mega Man in Street Fighter, I assume. He's never been in a fighting game before, right? So he would be great. So,
I cannot
He's
uh,
tell if you're being sarcastic.
uh, I'm being sarcastic.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm joking, and specifically referring to the awful middle-aged man that was in what was it?
Street
Was it
Fighter Cross
Tekken?
Tekken,
Oh
the
yeah,
bad box art Mega Man
the bad
from
box
the
art Mega Man.
from the North American
Put him in
NES.
Street Fighter. The fans yearn for
That was
Uncle Mega Man.
yeah,
Uh,
wow. I mean, because the thing is like Mega Man is such a can of worms. Like there is like just the history of the franchise and like the development and the treatment of it. Like like you need a whole other podcast just for that. Like
yeah,
came here to talk about soundtracks.
yeah, yeah, that's beyond the scope of CRT sound system, but.
I think absolutely, yeah. So yeah, the first track that we went in was from Mega Man 3, but we're actually going to do a little block of music from Mega Man 1 to start with. Um, So yeah, as Mike mentioned, Mega Man 1 was sort of more of a test run, I suppose, for for Mega Man 2 than anything else. It really feels like when you play that game, you're like, oh, this is just like a little beta, and then Mega Man 2 is the real game. But the music is still pretty fucking excellent. The only reason I'm not doing more of the music is because we already did quite a bit of the music when we did an episode on Manami Matsumae last year. at Reese's request.
Yes, exactly.
Reese being a big fan of Manami Matsumae, so
My
so
favorite.
we've got a couple of tracks from that one. I think what we'll probably do is we'll jump into the first block of tracks, which is just music from Mega Man 1, and then we can go
Oh,
back and have a proper conversation about Mega Man 2 and 3. Oh, go ahead.
by the way, just one thing before we begin, because I've been thinking about this all day.
Okay.
Did you choose today to record this on purpose for a specific reason,
No,
or
I didn't. Why?
because today is Rockman Day?
Okay, right.
Today
What is
it is
Rockman Day? Enlighten
Rockman.
me.
It is June the 9th. So 6/9, which in Japanese is Roku, and
Oh,
Ku,
okay.
which is shortened to Roku. So it is colloquially known as Rockman Day, and social media has
Oh
just been
shit.
exploding with all of these. With just there's
See,
been fan art everywhere all day because of
that's
that.
wild. Okay, because like I don't generally plan these. Annoyingly, probably could have planned this a bit better. So because like this episode isn't actually coming out until July 7th.
I know.
So
I do know that podcasts tend not to air the day they're recorded. So I
yeah,
thought,
no, that's interesting. Okay, I wasn't aware, and in fact, we did originally plan to record this yesterday. But my mother decided to come up and visit last night, so I didn't have the recording room. So,
how
this
fortunate
is
it is.
just a pure coincidence, Mike. So, but thanks for pointing that out because that is quite a fun coincidence. I keep doing shit like that. We did a Guilty Gear episode recently and happened to just schedule it for the weekend, a combo breaker, um, without really planning to do so. um, but yeah,
Uh,
we're as I say,
Happy
we're going
little
to jump
accidents.
in. Yeah, exactly. We'll jump into the first block of tracks from Mega Man 1. So, composed by Manami Matsumae, we have BOMBMAN stage, ELECMAN stage, FIREMAN stage, and then Dr. Wily stage 2.
I remember renting Mega Man 1 as a kid. And I think Mega Man 2 was also out, but I was quite young. And I feel like my distant memory that I've carried with me is like not only was this a proto Mega Man 2, but I think too it was molded the brain of Nintendo players a bit to make them ready for Mega Man 2. Because like I feel like the stage select and the way that the weapons interacted, like this boss defeats this other one, it's kind of a little mind blowing at the time. Um, and I feel like it really set the stage for you to just hit the ground running and know that like, oh yeah, you got to start with everybody has their uh I think it's now settled on Airman as the one you start with first, but everybody had their
Uh,
opinion. For the longest time, I started with Metal Man, but uh, I've heard a lot of different for two, but I still don't know who to start with one. In one.
it's tricky with one because, well, but actually, I have the answer for you there. It is BOMBMAN because
Okay.
um, it's a relatively because he is a relatively easy boss to fight with the Buster. He doesn't have a very tricky pattern, and he has um and his weapon is pretty solid. Um, that weapon then, so you get the power bomb from him, and then that then gives you the out against Gutsman, and Gutsman his Gutsman he is able to his so super arm. There's a bunch of bricks and blocks around, scattered throughout the levels that you need that to pull away, and that's extremely annoying because there is one absolutely essential item in a ELECMAN stage that you need that to reach. And
Hmm.
if you start Wily's Fortress without picking that up, you literally cannot progress. It's the magnet beam. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
the game would have you think, yeah, start with Cutman, then you go to ELECMAN. But the thing is, if you go to ELECMAN stage without that, then you have to do the whole stage over again. So Bombman, Gutsman,
Okay.
the super arm Rex Cutman. Not that you need him to. Then Cutman then is what is the weakness for Elecman, which and then you'll be able to pick up the magnet beam the first visit, and then after that, yeah, Thunderbeam is strong against Iceman for some reason, and then the Ice Slasher is Rex Fireman, and Fireman Rex Bombman. So it all goes in it. It's weirdly it's the only. Like, out of the first three games, Mega Man One is the only one where it is neat, completely circular rock paper
It's just
scissors.
a full loop. Yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
Um,
That's
two and
that.
two and three have are a bit all over the place.
yeah.
And I think everybody would start with Cutman because I think that's where you set it you start the menu
Yeah, you're
selection
right.
on.
He's highlighted when you get past title screen and open the menus. It's like, okay, well, this is stage one. Let's go. Um, so no, you have to choose not to do Cutman first, and
Interesting.
Diabolical, another evil trick from Dr. Wily.
yeah.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about one versus two during the break, and I think too, kind of like the one thing about, and that's kind of why I like what I like about it. I think part of me, I recognize the power of two and three, but I think my favorite will always be one because I think Matsumae's is a bit more of a traditional composer, as
Mm.
opposed to like in two or three they're making like songs you would hear a rock band play in the 80s, which I think fits obviously, uh, is kind of become the core of what everybody loves about these early Mega Men. But I just kind of love the more uh, you know The slower paced, there's just like I don't want to say more thoughtful, but I would just like the more painterly aspect of them is orally painterly, and I think that it is it's something that's super special to me. And two is obviously incredible. Three is great. But one I think is still my favorite, both for the OST and just the game overall. Even though I think that two
Well,
is better.
they
But for personally, it's my favorite.
well, they all have unique little falling pitfalls of their own, that that other games don't have. The three of them, like, there's a lot of growing pains between the three of them, and
Mm.
by the time they get to sort of the fourth game, it's well, they definitely sort of hit their stride in terms of just sort of pace, and then they start expanding the options you have. But the first three games, well, it's very hotly debated. Fun fact: it is a very popular opinion that Mega Man 2 is an objectively bad game, actually, which is
Interesting.
it's I think it's
I feel like you have to get to a certain level of being like really fucking good at Mega Man games to be able to pull that out of your
nah.
ass.
It's just, I think, more than anything else, it's just, I think it has a lot of fans just got, they kind of get sick of that being the only game they're ever hearing about. And it comes, and that's not just from just general discussion and discourse. It also comes down to the fact that whenever Capcom decides to do a musical event for Mega Man. And like the most recent one of a couple of years ago is a perfect example of this. Mega Man 2's soundtrack kind of permeates the entire thing to the point that
Oh,
they actually,
okay.
I think they played, I think they played the intro theme three separate times in that one hour long concert.
Jesus.
Uh, and then like some of the sub-series fans just got that that sudden hit of, oh wow, I didn't expect them to cover that one, and too.
Yeah.
And like, and I get it, you can be tired of a thing and acknowledge the thing is good. Actually, these two things can happen.
They can
You
be
know?
consistent. Yeah.
I think too that there is a contingent of game players that do not like Mega Man, just full stop. And Mega Man 2 is kind of the one that gets the
Uh,
most play uh culturally in a lot of ways. And so they're just like, I'm so sick of having to countenance these fucking disappearing, reappearing blocks as something
well,
I must enjoy. And I disagree with them. I think the Mega Men are wonderful platformers with, a very with early quirks that are in all Nintendo NES titles. But
Mm.
it is
um, if any of those people should happen to be listening to this podcast, I've got good news for you. Other media exists. Uh, we can have our thing and you can have yours. But
That's true.
um
if those listeners are still listening, no,
yeah,
you have to like Mega Man, and you have to keep listening to this episode.
like
Those are the rules.
Indeed.
you are you raise a good point though. Like um Mega Man sort of platforming mechanics, level design, and things these are the kind of things that kind of become synonymous with 2D platforming to a certain extent. And you're like, and like when you to the point that when you think about the NES and all the games, you do kind of end up thinking about Mega Man,
Yeah.
because I mean, for starters, there were six games on the NES.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And um yeah, it's just like it's it was especially prolific back then. Like, I mean, like, Mega Man was a giant in the 90s.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
he was a real, like, he was like the true, like, he was Capcom's Mario, essentially.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, they did like, there's some very very cursed looking promotional artwork nowadays, like, looking back at it, of um Mega Man shaking hands with Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, that with that it was that particularly weird baby face version of him that I
Oh, that really upsetting one. Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Don't love that Mega Man. Not a big
No.
fan of that one.
Well, I mean, there's a yeah, like the Western depictions of the characters, kind of, like people running games industries back then didn't really know what looked good.
Yeah, and to what you were saying as well, like I remember the Captain N cartoon
Oh
um,
god.
had like, but as I say, to your point of him being Mega Man's sort of, or Mega Man being Capcom's Mario, like that's where all the Nintendo characters that weren't owned by Nintendo sort of showed up, like Simon Belmont and Mega Man, and I guess that sort of um, there was no Mario in that series if I recall, but like
No.
just just a place to sell video games, and like Mega Man was as big of a name as anything to sort of sell people on the NES, so yeah, that's sort of like his legacy is set in stone, I think, regardless. But the one thing we were talking about during the break as well is just say not just the simplicity of the music, but the um, the tendency for artists in the or video game composers in the 80s to sort of nick a tune that they liked. And we discussed this a couple of weeks back as well, but that song, what was the name of the Journey song that you
Oh
mentioned?
god, it was I literally had it open and then I closed it. I thought, yeah, I'll totally remember this. Faithfully by
Faithfully,
Journey.
yeah. Yeah, and we
Um
had a conversation about that, and I think that's sort of the one that it's famously where they think that that's where it's most likely that so
yeah,
the track for the stage for ELECMAN, that's that one is
yeah,
and it's a very common chord progression, as I discussed with you as well, like that's something you see
yeah.
across a lot of different songs, but most likely based on the sort of listening habits of video game composers in the 80s. If sort of a rock band such as Journey did a song, they were probably somebody was going to steal something from it.
It wasn't Mega Man related, but it was Street Fighter 2, and I forget the name of the composer. It was one of the composers who worked on it. Uh
Mm,
not Yoko Shimomura, one of the other ones, who effectively when called, because like Street Fighter 2 also has a number of
quite a
notable
few,
tunes
yeah.
in it. And the fame the one I think the big standout one to me on that is it was uh it was the Cheap Trick song that
From the Top
uh
Gun soundtrack,
from
yeah,
the Top Gun soundtrack that was used for as the opening riff for Ken's theme. And the
yeah,
composer, has commented on that and yeah, what we were doing back then was basically straight up plagiarism.
yeah.
So, like,
Um,
it's
but like that was like the industry was so nascent, and it was such a sort of a cowboy situation. I think
yeah, I mean,
people didn't know what they were able to get away with, or if and like, why would somebody making a video game in Japan ever expect somebody to make that connection? you know?
on the subject of the Lechman stage though, it's something I was going back and I was listening over the various soundtracks from the NES Mega Man games today. Uh
Mm,
in sort of leading up to this recording. And one thing I there's the soundtrack for the Dr. Wily stage in Smash Brothers is actually a really good representation of how popular the various soundtracks are, in that
mm,
you don't really get there's and that is that there's a number of medleys, whole soundtrack medleys for each of the
yeah.
games. And you have a Mega Man 1 medley, a Mega Man 2 medley, a Mega Man 3 medley, and then you have a Mega Man 4 to 6 medley. Um, that kind
Uh,
of it really like,
yeah. All
it's
the rest.
not subtle. And I was just thinking about that today. And I was listening back over those because I particularly had I used to have a very harsh opinion of Mega Man 5s, but I was listening back to it and was like, actually this actually is a lot better than I remember. I don't know why I I felt so strongly about it before, and I came to One,
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to it in very high quality earphones. I can hear everything that's happening. And I thought when I was playing these games back then, it wasn't all the way back then, but like I mean, I've played all of these years ago, and when you're just like like playing on a laptop or or a console in a noisy room, and just it's like a lot of the finer like details of of especially these get lost in sort of the background when you and this is especially true as the franchise goes on and the technology gets better. The more um if you actually listen to them with like and only listen to them with with the earphones on, you hear all of the 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 little details, like the sort of percussion buildups and flourishes. You hear like like you can hear bass lines, you can hear like, and that add that's a completely game changing for some of them. The other thing, though, I think this is the most important one, is that Mega Man 4 the Mega Man 4 onwards, and honestly, I think it starts in Mega Man 3. Um, the soundtracks were like Mega Man 2's soundtrack is like extremely frenetic and energetic, and and like and fast paced, and and uses really sort of hard rock sounds, and but like if you stop to think about, okay, but how is this thematic? When
Yeah.
you look at the stage you're in. Like, I mean, and ELECMAN's is you're climbing up this 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 tower full of like electrical hazards, listening to friggin' Journey, and it's like, how does this gel?
Yeah.
Um, and the answer is like from Mega Man 4 onwards in particular, I think a lot of the soundtracks were actually trying to be a soundtrack, like an actual theme for the stage that actually reflects the environment you're in, the kind of the enemy that you're fighting, the pace of the action. It actually is trying to fit the mood, and because of that, they are not quite as ubiquitous in their appeal.
Yeah.
Whereas Mega Man 2 is just a rock soundtrack. You can just throw that on. It's like, oh, it slaps.
Yeah.
So
It's harder
it's
to listen to them
Agreed.
out of
so
context.
yeah, exactly. And listening back again to 4, 5, and especially 6. Um, yeah, no, they have much stronger theming, and as
Mm.
a result, they and that can work, you know, uh, for or against them, depending on the track.
Yeah. Oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense. All right. I think we'll jump into the first block of tracks here from Mega Man 2. Um, they changed up composers for the second game. So the second game was done by Takashi Tateishi, I believe is how that's pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
So from that, I have the first four tracks here are Metalman stage, Clashman stage, Flashman stage, and lastly is Heatman stage. I would just like to apologize for that last track for anybody whose PTSD was triggered by the sound of those fucking blocks. What did you say those blocks are called, Mike?
Yoku blocks. I
Yoku
forget.
blocks. Okay.
I don't Yoku. I don't know if I don't know what the wordplay is there, but yeah, Yoku.
Yeah.
And oh my, here's the thing. The noise is is the thing you remember because it is so because it's such a long sequence and
Yeah.
it always in groups of four. But here's the thing that a lot of people either forgot or repressed. That's the fact that it's the same pattern all the way across until
Yeah.
right at the end where it mixes up the last two just to fuck with you.
Yeah,
Of
it's
course.
Into the pit
there.
you go. That is genuinely one of the cheapest things that a Mega Man game has ever done.
I've been watching a Jeff Gerstmann do a series where he ranks every Nintendo game, and he got to Mega Man 2 and was playing through the stages, and then when he got to Heatman's Yoku stage, he has the funniest face falling, just being like, "Oh, these again." Uh, just being like, "Oh," just like an emotional response to how much those things suck,
Oh
and
yeah,
they
no,
do suck. But I
those things
guess
are
I am so in the tank for Mega Man. I'm just like their challenges I find kind of interesting because part of Mega Man is learning the game, like learning the weapons, stuff like that. So I kind of in favor of it, but I understand why they are so widely hated.
Yeah.
that there was they had on top of like I said, like it's a very very long section, and they throw in a cheap shot at the end just to just to screw you over, so that you are
Yeah,
forced to remember that at the end, to artificially extend the life of the game. Who game is? But on top of that, also just they had very awkward sort of collision detection, and if your timing was even slightly off, uh, and Mega Man is overlapping with the block
Oh
slightly,
yeah.
it will instead it
Shove
will
you off.
it will shove you to the side and you will fall to your death, and
Yeah.
you are not able. It is not it's not like a platform that you can jump upwards through and pass through it. It is like this is an obstacle. You have to be above it when it appears if you want to be able to land on it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
and it was just no, it was a like this is one of the things that I think of when I say growing pains. It is
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that was not a design element they ditched later on either. Like they kept them, they just refined them. Thanks,
Mhm.
Capcom.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I think it's that and like the we were talking about them as well. The Flashman stage, or not the Flashman stage, um the stage where you've got the lasers coming across
Oh,
and
that's
you have to use
Quickman
Quickman
stage,
Yeah,
stage. Yeah,
yes.
so just like those lasers as well. Until I figured out as a kid that you were supposed to use Flashman's weapon to get past them.
yeah.
I remember trying to just dying on that over and over
So,
again.
It is an
well, you
option. Like it's a like the
You you can just about make it, yeah.
when you've memorized the route, you can comfortably make it through. But like you can't afford to make make more than one mistake, or you will
Yeah,
just because those things they're insta kills. So you cannot afford
yeah,
to touch those. And like these games were built on a live system, so like you only had a handful of retries before you had to go back to the start of the level. So these things frustrated.
yeah. No, I remember
um,
that those being the sort of the
yeah,
biggest
yeah.
obstacles, and I
But that
remember like it used to be sort of a calculus of like, do I want to do these first just to get them out of the way so I don't like, so they don't fucking kill my run
yeah,
later, or do I just leave them to
yeah.
the end so I just don't have to deal with their bullshit?
yeah, yeah.
But that was one of that was like the hidden beauty of Mega Man's non design. The fact that you're able to approach the stages in any order of your choosing. Uh, Granted, certain obstacles might be extremely difficult without the right weapon, but there were also other ones that, like, if you it really adds to, to the replay value of the game and makes you feel smart for putting these things together and figuring it out. If you go in a certain order, okay, right, that this hellish Yoku block section in Heatman stage. Well, if you completed one of the other stages beforehand, you have the item 2 hoverboard, which will let you clear it easily.
Yeah, you
And
can just
if
bypass
you
it entirely. Yeah.
if you beat Flashman before you tackle Quickman stage, you have the ability to stop time for a period, which would allow you to easily bypass that killer beam section. Although, as I mentioned, like, that is a one-use weapon. I mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
You you it has the bar has to be full when you in order to activate it,
Yeah.
and you
It
cannot
just
turn it
drains
off.
it entirely.
It just
Yeah.
drains it entirely. So you have to empty the entire mag, going through those laser traps, or you can save it for the fight with Quickman and just shave off half of his health without having to do anything else. And you have to choose between those two
Yeah.
things.
It's a cool element because I think it sort of makes it a bit more interesting than just a straight sort of rock paper scissors of the first game.
Mhm.
And then like later on, say like with the is it Quickman's weapons that you need to use those in that puzzle area in the Dr. Wily stage? I'm trying to
Are
remember it.
are you talking about? Oh God, are you talking about the Boo Beamer, the mini boss?
Yeah,
Uh
but you have
if
to
you
use the bombs, and you have like a very specific amount of bombs that you can really.
it's
Yeah,
it's Crashman's weapon, the Crash
Crashman's
bombs.
weapon. That's it.
And
Yeah,
yes, you have enough. A full bar is enough ammo to destroy all of them with two mistakes. Um
yeah. It's
and
one of the cruelest things in any
it
video game.
like I get
Like,
we were talking about cheap shot. These are legitimate arguments for disliking Mega Man 2, and I'm with you on these.
yeah,
Like this this is legitimate cheap, badly designed object. You like you have this obnoxious puzzle-based mini boss that you have to figure out by trial and error. But because it's a fight, you you also have to actually survive, and if you're killed, you have to start the fight again.
yeah.
But the ammo for your weapon does not
Does not
refill.
replenish.
You have no means of replenishing it before going back into the boss room. So
Yeah,
if you ran out of juice, literally the only way, because there is no other solution, this weapon to kill each of them. The only solution is to just because
just
there's no.
die until you restart the entire stage, basically.
Thankfully, you start at the halfway mark if you
Mm,
if you game over and continue.
yeah.
So I guess that so I guess thanks for that much at
Thanks,
least.
yeah.
But
Because
yeah,
I
no, it's
literally remember as a kid being like stuck in that room, no ammo, no
yeah,
way to get the ammo back, and being like, how am I supposed to do
yeah.
this?
If you
Like,
ask me to pick one singular aspect of Mega Man 2 that I will never defend, it is that room. It is
that
that boss
room is
fight. It
just
is the
awful.
single worst part of the game.
And what were you saying? You can make two mistakes
You have enough ammo for about two mistakes, and you're gonna make a lot more than that before you figure it.
before you, yeah.
Mhm.
That's yeah. Um, yeah. So on that note, we'll play some more music because the next block includes that those iconic Dr. Wily stages. So we have I guess so. We got the Woodman stage and then the Airman stage, which was composed in part with Manami Matsumae, as well as Takeshi Tateishi. And then the last two tracks we have are Dr. Wily stage 1 and Dr. Wily stage 2. Dr. Wily Stage 2, I think, just not as sort of as iconic or well known, I think, as Stage 1, which is sort of um taken on its own life almost. But like I really
Yeah.
love just that sort of pulsing, repeating, and the constant rising. Um it really it's a really really good sort of atmosphere. And I know you mentioned Mike, that like the later games did sort of go down a bit more for like atmosphere rather than just pure bangers. But you can hear that a little bit in that last track as well
Yeah, I
too.
was just thinking to myself when as I was listening to them, is that while that's generally true of the soundtracks, the boss, so the final boss layer, the Wily stages always had that extra degree of sort of
Just a
like
little bit more edge to them.
foreboding and ominous to the you're
Yeah.
and the thing that I think those two tracks do really well, um while the second one is, yeah, it's not quite as iconic. Like, it's like it has it's trying to achieve a very specific mood and quite well. It's just that
Mhm.
he's in the heart of the lair. He's almost at the at the final boss for the final showdown. I say final.
Yeah.
Um and and it's just mounting that sort of that pressure and that tension. But the Wily stage one, like you start outside the fortress, that is 100% a storming the enemy base theme. He is
Yeah.
Yeah,
charging
yeah.
in, and I
Yeah.
think and it accomplishes. And yeah, in general, the Wily stage throughout the series have a tendency to go in that direction.
Yeah. No, it's definitely like, yeah, when you start that first Wily stage and you're just like on the ground and you just you climb the structure, is such a cool sort of progression. Um yeah, it really is a very, very cool sort of way to do that last boss. Because I think as well, like maybe if it's your first time through, like you've beaten the last, you've beaten all the 8 stages, you might think, oh, I'm done. And then you click on Dr. Wily and you're like, oh shit.
Then that music starts playing, and suddenly you're pumped, and you're just ready to
Yeah,
just go. It
absolutely. Yeah.
it gives you that sort of like maybe fatigue is setting in at this point. And remember, like unless you're writing down passwords, this is not a game you could just turn off after a while.
Yeah.
So you had to play the whole thing through. Uh,
Yeah.
and especially if it was your first time through, lots of trial and error, probably more error than success.
Yeah.
Um, so you might find yourself feeling a bit fatigued at that point. But then that music kicks in, that does a pretty good job of turning that back around, giving you a second wind.
Yeah, for as much as I played this game as a kid, I was never actually able to finish it until emulation came out, and I was able to just like pop a save state at the start of Doctor Wily's stage, and just be like, okay, now I feel safe to keep going,
Yeah.
you know, um, and eventually was able to do it that way. I've never gone back though and successfully done it all the way through. Maybe I should try and do that someday.
Yeah.
I
It's
have I have enough ways to play Mega Man 2.
it's fun that my I eventually I growing up, I didn't actually have access to Mega Man for most of it. Um, uh, Only like the 2 brief years that I lived in Ireland again when I
Mm.
was around 8, and that was when I bought my first ever video game with my own pocket money that I saved and chose myself. It was Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge on the Game Boy, and
Oh,
automatically you're gonna have people hear that and think, "Oh no, that one's awful." And it's like, yeah, but it was my first one, and it's what introduced me to the entire series. And like granted, I was so proud of myself for figuring out how the weaknesses work and how and like it's sort of a it's a Mega Man. It's a sort of like the Game Boy games are largely just like elements of two games smashed together. So Dr. Wily's Revenge is one and two. So you had bosses from the first two games on the
okay.
Game Boy. So like, and while all the soundtracks we've been listening to thus far not the same ones, but different arrangements of the same melody. So you had like ELECMAN, Iceman, Cupman, and Fire. They were all there. And then once in Wily's Fortress, you don't refight the first four guys, or maybe you do, but at the end of that one, you actually the boss rush is four bosses from Quickman,
Mm.
Heatman, Flashman, and BOMBMAN. And unfortunately, I got all the way there as an 8-year-old by myself. I was so proud. I could never get past Quickman. Quickman was too hard for me.
Oh
Even
no.
Yeah.
even with the with the like the half a life bar head start, I just couldn't. My dexterity was not good enough. I just couldn't dodge him, so that was it.
Mhm.
But like that, like I mean that game permanently altered my brain chemistry. And then one summer, I think after that, I think I came back and I wound up playing a little bit of Mega Man X at a friend's house. I was like, oh my god, Mega Man gets cooler. So it wasn't until I had a laptop at 18 when I was in boarding school that I just went full blown on the
You're able to
emulation
get on the
spree
emulators. Yeah.
and just caught up on everything I missed over the last 20
Yeah.
years of
'Cause,
games. So
um, as it's for people who don't know, Mike, you grew up partly in Kenya.
oh yeah,
Um,
so yeah,
Probably some
my
context for people.
yeah, well, okay, so did you introduce me as Mike or
I just introduced you as Mike. Yeah.
okay? Yeah, my online handle for just about everything is my Kenyan with a capital K because yeah, very imaginative, I know, but it's unique to me. I grew up in Kenya, East Africa,
Yeah.
up until I
So,
was
like,
about
were you
yeah.
able, like, were video games something you could access easily, or like?
Every video game I had up until around the PlayStation era was imported from here, and it was usually
Yeah.
when
So if you visited family or something,
if we
you just
visited family or mom came over or someone brought one back, that was basically it. I
oh wow.
missed out on the entire Dreamcast era and the latter half of the N64. But by then, we had uh the sort of like the toy stores had started chipping PS1s, so we were able to
Okay.
we were able to to play pirated PS1 games, and so
Okay.
I was able to access a lot of other stuff that way. Missed out on
Cool.
some very particular eras,
Yeah.
there's a handful of games missing, and yeah, all of Mega Man is in there. I didn't I didn't get to as huge as I am on it, like that like the journey properly started at 18. I and oh
Yeah.
and incidentally, it's oh my god, it's 10 years ago now when I was I found a copy of Dr. Wily's Revenge in the Rage over on Fade Street.
Okay.
Uh and it was just I think it was a fiver. I bought it. I put it into my Game Boy Advance, and I beat Dr. Wily's Revenge start to finish for the first time ever, more than 20 years after the first time I.
That's mad.
Yeah, it was a much needed closure.
I
Absolutely.
am sorry to go back a second. I am so glad you cleared up your name because I thought your online handle was Mike Nyan, like Nyan Cat.
He
Oh,
said the thing.
that's that. There's lore to that, Reese.
Oh, really? That is.
That's
So I
why
was
the
about
K
to
is
say, I was like,
capitalized.
That is
I'm sure
specifically
I'm
why
not
the
the
K
first
is
to point
capital.
that out.
Incredible! I can't believe
Yeah,
we
yeah.
got
No,
that. The FGC gang who are going to listen to this are going to love that.
yeah.
Good. I'm glad. I mean, if I had introduced any part of your friend, I would have been like Mike Yon on Twitter. So, uh,
I
Fantastic.
will
I love it.
find where you live. Oh,
I'm so sorry.
you, don't worry about it. It was,
No, that couldn't be more perfect, to be quite honest, Reese. um, but yeah, yeah. So we're going to jump into Mega Man 3. I think this is sort of the last one I played before stopping sort of playing the series until I myself went to college.
Same.
I didn't realize there was like Mega Man 3 or like it was pretty much when Mega Man 9 came out, I think, like a lot of people, where people went, wait, there was a Mega Man 4 through 8.
I think that's funny.
um,
Some people, back in the day when Mega Man X came out, some people thought that the X was the Roman numeral 10.
Oh yeah,
um,
I didn't think that, but I certainly switched over to the Mega Man X franchise when the
yeah,
Super Nintendo came out, and I did not look back until
yeah.
It's a
after
different
I think a lot
a
of
podcast.
while.
people, yeah, that's a whole other podcast, definitely. But like it was, I remember getting it sort of. It was one of the because I'd been given Mega Man 2 and I didn't really know what it was, and then I played it. But I remember like waiting for Mega Man 3 to come out and being like, yeah, I can't wait for this to come out. I'm going to get it. And again, never finished it. But like, I think one thing that kept me coming back was just that it was like um, so much richer. It felt like they were really trying to push things forward with it, and sometimes that worked, and sometimes it didn't necessarily. But even stuff like adding in the slide and things like that for it, sort of made you feel like you were sort of the movement options were much more interesting and things like that in it. What are your thoughts on 3, Mike?
3 is it's one that I have very hard to go back to. It's for two main reasons. One, the game has a lot of slowdown, so it feels and especially because there aren't if there are good good ports or emulations of it, I don't know which ones they are. So
Hmm.
performance wise it's a bit of a step down. And then the other thing mainly is like if you thought things like the Boo Beamer trap boss or things where was a pace break, Doc Robots,
Oh,
uh
fuck.
those guys just it's a clever idea. They're these skull bots, and you literally see them which Mega Man boss they're being, and they do have a weakness to one of the Mega Man logical reason for the weakness in Mega Man 2, but it's a whole other weakness to figure out. And these guys are using their powers, their weapons, but with a completely different hitbox, completely different movement, and so it completely throws off the fight that the fight that you might remember, and it's hell. Uh, and you have to go through 4 of those guys at least. Is it 4 or 8? I think it's 8 of them. Yeah, no, you
Oh,
have to go back.
jeez.
Yeah,
Okay, well.
it's all 8 of them. You have to go. There's the 4 of the stages open up the game again.
Hmm.
And so you revisit those stages. I think they're slightly different areas, and you fight 2 per stage. And yeah, it is just you have to
Jeez.
fight 8 of these guys, all of the Mega Man 2 bosses again, and it's not done very well, and it's a bit of a deal breaker for a lot of people.
Yeah, that I say I don't think I ever to say got very far in this, but that does not sound fun.
Now the soundtrack's a completely different story. The soundtrack in Mega Man
Yeah.
3 is phenomenal.
I think we won't talk about the soundtrack just yet because I have thoughts on that I definitely want to express. But we'll listen to a couple of tracks. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on the game in general.
I mean, it's. I remember enjoying it quite a bit, but I
Mm,
feel like in a lot of ways, it after Mega Man 2, it didn't hit nearly as hard, and for me, sort of like I mentioned before, Mega Man X was sort of like the track I switched to and was so much more compelled by that than 3,
mm,
fair or unfair. And so and that's the one I would kind of I would keep going back to 2 and to X, and I played like X2 and 3 as well.
yeah.
So it is certainly it's one I've listened to the soundtrack so much more than I've played.
Mm.
Although uh I did watch somebody play through it while we were coming down from shrooms, and that was a pretty powerful spiritual experience.
Interesting.
So I do think it's a good game, just not one I have played and appreciated nearly as much as the other two on this list.
Yeah.
Other than just more recently, just listening to all the Mega Man soundtracks so much. It's a great soundtrack, so I'm always blasting it.
Yeah. I suppose with that, we'll jump into the first block of tracks from Mega Man 3. So the composers on this game were Harumi and Yasuaki Fujita. I don't know how they're related or if they even are, if they just happen to share the same surname. But the tracks we have to start with are Needleman Stage, Magnet Man Stage, Gemini Man Stage, Hard Man Stage, and Top Man Stage.
I have to wonder what. Actually, wait. I need to look it up because all of these robots have lore reasons for like a function that they serve, and I just need to remind myself what Top Man is. Uh,
He has to top all the other robots, isn't it?
Holy fucking shit, dude. um, let's see. Uh, Personality, like your game appears. No, there's definitely like an actually sort of like stated reason for him
Yeah.
existing,
I mean,
and
I feel like they really did they do that for all of them? Like even towards like when they start
Yes.
running out of ideas later in the series, like
There's a good Brian David Gilbert, I think,
yeah,
video
that
about it, and it goes kind of like I don't know if they have it for every single robot,
they do.
but
Well,
they
almost all of them, and yeah,
but there is always, or it's like, yes, this is uh I don't know, I can't come up with
yeah.
that. This is Top Man, but Top Man was a medical robot who, was the core of a centrifuge or something, and you're just like, okay, whatever. We're
whatever.
just having a good time here. It's Mega Man.
Yeah.
That's yeah, no, the like that BDG video absolutely rules. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah,
Uh,
if anyone hasn't seen it, I'll link it in the notes.
like
The
I had it in my head that actually his stated purpose was space exploration. Fucked if I know why. Series information. No, we can go
we
this.
can we'll come back to that later, I think. Um, but yeah, no, we were just talking in the break as well, just about how much the soundtrack for three sort of really escalates everything because like I think prior to listening to this and like you mentioned before about how like listening to the soundtracks on headphones really changes it compared to just listening to it in the game,
Mhm.
and like just sitting down and like doing a proper like just actually listening to the music, like Bree's soundtrack really sort of started to sort of become my favorite over the last couple of few weeks while listening to it, just because just like what they're doing with the noise channel, all the interesting little melodies and counter melodies that they're doing, like the chords that they're using seem like really sort of jazzy compared to like previous games which are a little bit more rock heavy. um so like you get more interesting sort of the arpeggiations on those chords that they're using in those melodies is like it's much uh it sounds more interesting to me. And then like the we were talking then about the top man stage, like the way that sort of goes and goes and goes, and then it stops for a second while like the whole track sort of just has like a little break for itself, to get the little step down in the chord to go back to the start again. It's such a cool little moment within the track, and like you don't really hear that if you're playing the game, but like when you sit down and listen to it in your headphones, you're just like, yeah, it really sort of works.
This sounds like like an extremely basic principle. It's like, yeah, if you just listen to the music in isolation,
Yeah.
we are like duh, and you heard about it. But I mean, like, I can't really overstate just how good the music is if you really take the listen to it.
Yeah, just take a proper listen. Like, and I think that's a thing with video games is most of us experience it in the context of the game. Um, and like part of why I want to do this podcast so much is just I like to sort of take the music out of the context of the game for people as well, and sort of just talk about it as music, um, and to listen to it as music, and not just sort of just to have these things that only exist as part of another piece of art. Um, and with regards to three, actually, I just remembered, and it is worth talking about, is the first appearance of Proto Man. Um, and that, like, the whole concept of Proto Man, like, is such an anime thing.
Yeah, it
Just
really
having
is.
you know, it's and I think that's my first experience with that type of character relationship as a kid. Because like, you know, you play Mega Man, you just go through and you fight the guys, but like the idea of having this dude that would just show up and you'd have to fight, but you weren't sure if he was like a bad guy or if he was a good guy or what. Like it's probably my first exposure to anime as a child.
It was
You know, same here. I was honestly just thinking that it was just like was that my first real anime moment? Because you know, there's you see the Final Fantasy artwork, Dragon Quest artwork, stuff like that, but that didn't really read as anime.
Mm.
But this read as something different. You're just like, what a this rogue with his own little theme. I love the Proto Man.
if it potentially adds that much more to it. Proto Man is a blatant Char clone, as in Char Aznable from Gundam.
Oh my god, that is the best thing I've ever heard. That makes sense, but
So I was like, yeah, it's like, is this anime enough for you? Well, strap in, boys.
and then
That's
a
great.
do 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 do. You're just like, no, it's Proto Man. Oh shit.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing to stick in the game, like, and it's definitely the one thing that sort of stuck with me even up years later when I would think back on that game. It was like, oh shit, yeah. And yeah, I think even just it's only in talking about it there that I realized I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely like the first time I experienced that kind of anime thing.
Oh, and I can tell you without any doubt whatsoever that Proto Man absolutely blames everything on the misfortune of his birth. So there's that too. On that note, actually, just just since we brought up Proto Man, at the start of the podcast, we played the Mega Man 3
It was the Mega Man 3
title
intro, yeah.
intro, and like which is a very noticeable tone shift from Mega Man 2,
Mm.
which had just full of sort of like just whimsy and frenetic energy, and then this goes into
It's a bit more melancholic, yeah.
melancholy and moody, and that may or may not have something to do with the fact that in Japan, so as I'm sure you know, in Japan, Mega Man is known as Rockman.
Mhm.
Mhm.
He and his sister are known as Rock and Roll, and to be fair, his name is still Rock, and he becomes Mega because it's one of these things we accept. But Proto
Yeah,
Man's name is Blues.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
well, I mean, if that title sequence isn't news, I don't know what to tell you.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point.
yeah.
Um
Makes a lot of sense.
Proto Man was absolutely
Yeah.
programmed to be tortured by his by his circumstances.
Not
Um,
not remotely, not remotely confusing that the character named Blues is not the blue guy you play as, the the red guy.
Alright.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's it's an emotion. It's a genre.
Yeah,
It's not meant to be. I mean, I understand why they
but it's also a
change
color.
it because
One of the
it
primary
is
colors,
a
I might
color.
add.
Yeah. All right. I think we'll jump into the next block of tracks, so or rather the last block of tracks. So this is a long one. So we've got Snake Man stage, Spark Man stage, Shadow Man stage, and then we've got all three stages of Dr. Wily's castle here. So Dr. Wily stage 1, 2, and 3, all of which composed by Yasuaki Fujita. we heard Snake Man stage. I think that was sort of the first one we had, and like um I think that really exemplifies what I was talking about in the last break, with just like the increased complexity and the different types of chords that they're
Hmm.
using and stuff like that really allows it to sort of keep that, like, that track just
Yeah,
doesn't stop changing. It's constantly like,
yeah.
it
There's a
is like a snake.
yeah.
It's just like constantly shifting. There's like all these arpeggiations going
Well,
on
so
and
that was
everything.
the theme.
Yeah.
Trying to work
So
out
Yeah.
is like, okay, what is it about this music that thematically fits a lair made of giant robotic snakes?
yeah,
It's like, turns out it contains multitudes. Um, there's a lot going on in that track.
Yeah.
It is just constantly morphing, and it's one of the least repetitive Mega Man,
Mm.
and it is very popular for fan covers.
Yeah, you see that
absolutely.
show up a lot on like on your megas and your I think Mega Man in general is sort of probably as responsible for that explosion in like indie bands doing covers of video game music
Oh, for sure. I mean,
as
funnily enough,
anything else, you know.
it was said when in the lead up to the release of Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U and the 3DS, which was the
Mm,
one that it was announced with a with the first sort of like guest character announcement being Mega Man's announcement trailer for Smash Wii U is still one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. Like when that happened, I was watching E3 at the time, and when that you get the warning, new character approaching,
yeah.
and they all look up on the cliff face, and you see who's that, and then they see the helmet form. I made sounds only audible to dogs. I that's that that defined a chapter of my life as a Smash player and sort of like tournament organizer. I did that for years because of that character appearing in that game.
Yeah. Did
But
you play Mega Man in Smash,
oh,
or
like exclusively, like
yeah.
I was known for it. I didn't play well, although it depends on your point of view, really. Like, I mean, it'd be easily one of those is like you stomp all the casuals, but as soon as you get to sort of like competitive level, I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, but what in the development sort of lead up to that with your various sort of Masahiro Sakurai made a point of saying that when they showed off, he showed the track list for of like Mega Man tracks that would be appearing in the game, and he made a point of saying that the the team of composers working on the game have loved working on the Mega Man. Can't help themselves keep making more of them. I remember
Yeah.
he said the same thing about for Castlevania soundtrack. Like like these sort of like legacy giant franchises that are known for their soundtrack, and they
Yeah.
had entire teams of composers, and they all
Just
had to.
scrambling to get,
And
yeah.
I find that very educating.
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, it's like it's um
I mean, it speaks to the quality of the music, I suppose, more than anything else. That, like,
100%. This is like,
you know,
yeah, like when you have the likes of Yuzo Koshiro, making Mega Man sound covers, like,
yeah.
yeah, I feel like they did something right.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, because like the amount of people that they had working on that soundtrack is absolute. Like on the Smash Brothers Ultimate and Smash 4, and yeah, Smash 4. Let's just call it Smash 4. Like just if you haven't, like, go look at the list of composers for that fucking game.
Yeah.
It's like every composer you've ever liked
And
came
yeah,
in
yeah,
and did
like,
something.
the pedigree of the composers as well. Like,
Yeah,
and I do know that in Smash Ultimate, which is the one on the Switch, the coordinator for the compositions in the soundtrack was Yuzo Koshiro himself. He coordinated the entire
Yeah,
thing, and like that's the Streets of Rage guy. This guy is like
yeah.
my favorite description of him is from J. Kaufman, uh, who's his personal hero. Just like may actually be God.
Yeah, we've definitely done a good bit of Yuzo Koshiro on this podcast. Like he's so it's the patron saint of the podcast, I think.
A worthy one to be sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think we're going to finish up with that there. As I say, we're running well past 2 hours talking about fucking Mega
Yeah,
Man,
absolutely.
and I feel like
One
we could go on.
the final thought. What are our rankings here for favorite to third favorite, not least favorite? For me it's 1, 2, 3. What about you two?
Um, it has always it's what has always been the case for me. 2 and 3 are constantly vying for the top spot, and one is chilling on the third pedestal quite comfortably.
Okay,
Like it's just I have a lot of fondness for it. It just doesn't it doesn't have like the horsepower of the other.
hmm
Yeah, that's a good term for it. Yeah. I think for myself, yeah, probably 3, 2, and 1, and like nothing bad against one. It's just like
sure.
it's being a fucking 9 out of 10 in a world of 10 out of 10s. Like
hmm
it's hard to, um, as good as it is, it's up against two of the best soundtracks ever made, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
You know, very difficult
Absolutely.
to,
Yeah.
you know,
Completely unfairly to Mike, I'm gonna put you at 3, 2, 1, Tom, and Mike at 2, 3, 1.
okay.
That's where we're entering that. Chisel that into your stone tablets, everybody. Those are the rankings of the Podmasters.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks a million for coming and joining us, Mike.
Yeah,
No,
Have you
I really
anything
enjoyed that.
thank you.
fantastic? Yeah. Have you anything you want to plug or anything at all?
Uh,
Just
I c- I don't really do much of anything in particular. I honestly most of what I do these days is occasionally I will just I will draw I might I do uh I do a lot. I use well. I say a lot. I very sporadically, when my mind allows me to focus on it, I do like gameplay videos and things of the Mega Man Zero and ZX in particular. Those two are my that's my particular favorite part. Series.
sub series. Yeah.
Never mind of Mega Man. Just series. I love those games. They are
Nice.
but also I have an unhealthily thorough knowledge the sort of the lore and I sometimes drop lengthy threads about these things on my Twitter. So if you care about things like that, uh, I am at the my Kenyan. The got my own fucking name wrong. I am at the my Kenyan on Twitter. Um,
Excellent.
occasionally,
I follow you.
occasionally I'm interesting.
Um, do you are you still sort of involved with the speed running communities for
Um,
this or
not actively. Like I mean,
yeah?
like I've done I have done occasionally for Mega Man and the Gunvolt series, which is
Oh yeah, Gumball.
very
That's
very
fun.
Mega Man adjacent. But but it's been a bit of a quiet couple of years. So
Yeah,
but who knows? Like I mean, like these things happen you're very much at random.
yeah,
So
that's
I
fair
make
enough.
no promises.
All right. Well, thanks again, Mike. So Reese, what have you got going on for yourself? Tell us all about it.
Check out Reese V Writer on Twitter or Blue Sky for just unhinged posting. And maybe I would advise maybe turning your attention to video games are the worst thing on earth instead, or existential warfare, the former being a leftist political video games podcast, and the latter being my little slice of life interview show that might get another episode sometime this year. We'll see.
We're all looking forward to it.
All right, and that's it. And this
Fantastic.
podcast. Keep listening to this podcast. Listen to this episode again.
Just rewind this episode and listen again. Yeah. And as for ourselves, we are CRT Sound System on Twitter. Or sorry, CRT Pod System on Twitter, CRT Sound System on Blue Sky. We've got a Patreon, patreon.com/CRT Sound System. Come and give us money if you want, or don't give us money, that's also fine. But if you give us money, you can get some bonus episodes where I've just thrown together a couple of like genre related mixes. Too hot for Spotify because they won't let me put that much music in a single podcast. And you can also get all of the episodes, including the ones from the very start, in a higher bit rate. So if you want to get better versions of the music in your ears, you can get it through there. And we also have a Discord. You can come and hang out in the Discord, where we will be very normal to you about Jamiroquai.
Yeah.
Extremely normal.
It's our non-video game music channel is called the Jamiroquai Zone, which is maybe the least descriptive channel name I've ever experienced in a Discord. Maybe not always, but pretty
Yeah.
close.
I mean, I couldn't help it.
No, this isn't a complaint. That is my highest honor. Well,
Fantastic.
Mike, thank you so much again.
Absolutely.
We got all the plugs in there, right?
No, thanks for having me. And if you ever want to have me back for one of the other ones, by all means.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a deep well of Mega Man soundtracks, definitely. So whether you want to come back on and do some more Mega Man stuff, or if you have a different soundtrack, yeah, absolutely, we would love to have you back on.
Yeah, you're our official Mega Man correspondent now. So you've been press
Thankfully,
ganged into that.
I'll take it. I think I do have other character traits besides Mega Man likers. So if there are other topics that I can lend my voice to, I would be more than happy to.
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, so we'll jump out with the last track. So I have the Mega Man 2 ending theme, but this one is from an arranged version done by Alph Lyla. So if you don't know who Alph Lyla are, they're like Capcom sound team, sort of like in-house band. So they do a lot of really, really cool arrangements of various Street Fighter, Mega Man, all the various Capcom soundtracks. So I like to just throw that in there, because Reese did request this one, but I didn't want to just do the normal one. So I just threw this one in the last minute.
This is my favorite track in all of Mega Man. So that does say that despite me negging to a little bit, it does contain my favorite track. Just there's a moment where there's like a little high note, or it's like doo 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 doo, and every time I have to like close my eyes and hold up the pretend lighter for those three notes.
That's incredible.
So thanks so much, everybody.
All right, thanks so much for listening. Have a good one.